Hi guys, Crispin Sanford here with another episode from season one of the pre-season one, I should say, of this look into the stages, the filmmaking stages. What I want to cover today is stage 3 in the whole process. Now, we're working on learning the different stages of the filmmaking process. You act through each of these stages on a project to get all the things done within that, fulfill all the functions within it, in order to be able to make your film, get it released, make sure that it's profitable, pays for itself, type thing, and then goes beyond that, right? You know, how high it hits, how big it hits, that's sort of more of a long-term game in terms of the control that we have over that. But to a certain extent, there's limits on what we can make sure happens, and sometimes things hit when they hit, and it's great. We do our best to find out why, but you know, we're not expecting it right out of the gate. And so this section, this stage, is the manufacturing and vendor engagement, right? So first 2 episodes, right? In episode 1, we covered the understanding the filmmaking process. Episode 2, we talked about building relationships. And in this section, we're talking about manufacturing and vendor engagement, right? So basically meeting with and establishing terms with all the vendors that may be part of providing equipment, products, materials, and services that go into making a complete film and getting it into the market and ensuring that we have success that we can control, right? I think you can build an audience, you can do the things and events necessary to get the results you need, especially with a process that I've developed, this thorough process, and when we're dealing with short films. And then we're not going to go into features until we have a handle on that process and ensuring we make our money back plus with that, you know. And then again, if it explodes, fantastic, you know. Well, Pulp Fiction cost $8 million or something to make, and I think it made like 137 million at the box office. That was quite a boon, quite a gain. And, you know, I'm sure it's made a lot more than that post the box office in the US. But yeah, so it's the reason why they're distinct relationships from the initial building the relationships, right? Is that you meet people, you meet filmmakers, you meet cinematographers, grips, etc., and they're typically individuals. Even when you're meeting with some financial people, particularly early on, and you know, even to a certain degree when you're meeting sponsors, I imagine, and we'll learn during the process and going through this over and over and over again, but that, you know, you're still dealing with individuals, the business owner, and getting that sponsorship. At least that's what I understand will be what happens. And, you know, so it's still kind of dealing with individuals. And whereas your manufacturing and vendors are businesses, specifically providing you with the resources you need to make your film and do all the various color correction or studio space or editing suites or whatever it might be. And so I'm distinguishing those two because there's a whole different way of going about it. And there's a whole different mindset with it. Vendors, when you're going to pay them money, they're interested in serving you, right? And meeting your needs. When you're meeting an individual, a business owner, a restaurant owner, marketing, somebody who provides banners and graphic design work, you know, when you're meeting individuals that are involved in the whole process, will be involved in the whole process, you're building the relationship, and then you're developing the relationship to the point where they're interested in being involved. Now, you know, obviously there becomes a point where you've raised the money, you've established a relationship and agreement, and then you're going to pay them for their services, and they may well be you paying a business, right? But in many of the cases, you're approaching individuals with building a long-term relationship, a meaningful relationship, and to join the journey, to be on the adventure, to be a part of this movement, right? Whereas I imagine going to the different vendors and manufacturers, people involved in the manufacturing process. It's purely you're approaching it from a business standpoint, finding out costs, what it's going to cost, etc. They may become sponsors. They may become friends and want to do some of these other things and fall into the building relationship category. Fantastic. But I think you can see the distinction, and it's important to have that distinction. All right, so this is a pretty short episode in the whole lineup, but I know that we'll cover this more as we go on. We'll cover more little inserts, little sort of added videos on the Facebook group with engaging the vendors and manufacturers and going to their spaces and all that sort of stuff. And there'll be a lot more to be had. But I think just covering the general picture, giving you an idea of it, I think you got that. No need to become redundant and repeat myself. And with that, we're done. Take care, guys. Start to look for where the local vendors are in your area. People who have studio spaces, do editing, provide editing suites, rent facilities to filmmakers. Begin this process so that as we go through this whole process and as you build your skill set and your ability to move through this whole process for your film, you've already got some idea. You're already beginning to get familiar with who's who and where they're at, and hopefully we'll have already visited them too. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye, guys.